Man.
Yo, selling gold cards is one of the worst experiences of my life.
I'm fucking even, bro. I didn't try to sell a fucking thing. Bro.
I didn't either. We was like, let's just ride around, my nigga. Like, we
I
can
don't
get
give
some
a
pizza
fuck
anyway.
about no prize.
Pop's gonna sell about 2-3 of these at the work spot.
Yep, my dad took mine, sold them. Whatever he sold, I sold.
We're gonna come back to some pizza, be on our merry way, go to practice on Monday, and be the starters.
I hated that day because that was the longest fucking day between practice and having to do that shit. And then you're right back there fucking 8 hours later for lifting and shit.
Bullshit. Welcome back. Episode 31 of Gridiron Gang. What we got today is a wrap up of week 14, and then we'll go ahead and make our week 15 picks. But getting back to the week 14 game, we have Monday Night Football. New England Patriots on the road in Arizona facing the Cardinals. They get the win 27-13, but that's not the story of the game. Obviously, we can take this back to the summertime. Kyler Murray, him and the franchise, him and the front office going back and forth. He wipes the social media clear. You know, they're not in agreement on his contract negotiations at the time. He ends up signing that new deal. He comes into the season, no D-Hop, so the offense struggles really bad early in the season. Cliff Kingsbury, we already had our questions about him being an NFL coach and offensive mind, stuff like that. So not on the right track getting off to the start of the season for the Arizona Cardinals. And then last night, obviously, we know he goes down on a rush, no contact injury. We get the news today. He tore up his knee. He'll miss the remainder of this season. And honestly,
Good
probably
portion next year.
Yeah, maybe all of next year. So, I mean, we'll talk about that a little bit later too. But that's obviously the big news coming out of this game, man. The number one overall pick a couple years ago is now out, and Cardinal season is over, and their future might be in jeopardy as well.
Yeah, I mean, I think good game by the Patriots, good win for them. But yeah, the biggest thing is Kyler Murray going down, and you know, as much as I dislike him, don't have love for him like that, but you know, you don't want to see guys go down like that. It's tough, and you want their career to be prolonged as long as possible. Hate seeing injuries like that, especially no contact. But I don't know what's gonna happen this offseason with this team, because I think the GM is very questionable as well, and Steve Keim, and I'm sure he'll probably, I'm guessing, stick around because he's pretty good friends with Bidwell, the owner. But Kingsbury, he's probably slowly but surely, inching back to the college game. I think that's what it will eventually come to for him. Kyler, they just paid him money. He'll probably get a season or two as a starter there still. But this injury can really change the course of a career for a quarterback, because especially with a running quarterback, it'll probably be, when he comes back, it'll be a while before he feels comfortable running the way he's used to. But at the same time, he has more question marks than ever right now. I mean, just the leadership aspect, everything, and I don't know. I'm not too high on the guy. Yeah, I wish him well, through rehab, getting healthy again, but I don't know. I've said before, I just don't see him having a long NFL career. And I don't, and maybe he gets the opportunity. If Tebow can go play baseball after not playing since Little League,
right,
I'm sure he can go and jump in and play,
Right.
If you got natural talent in baseball, it's easy to go back and pick it right back up.
Mm-hmm.
But it is a hard sport if you've never played before. But, he's got talent to do it. I think, I just don't know. I think it's a very ugly situation with where the Cardinals organization is at. I'll say that. But game-wise, I think, really, I just think Belichick's defense just punched him in the mouth, really.
You could say that. At the time he went out, he only threw one pass, had one rush, so he
he went out third play of the game.
Yeah, he wasn't much of a factor, but they were up 13-7 at one point still without him being in the lineup.
Yeah.
So, but after that, it was pretty much a wrap. I mean, Patriots did get a field goal at the end of the first half, and it came out another field goal at the start of the second half, tied up at 13, and then that play by D-Hop where he fumbled and they got the fumble 6. That really was a game changer. Put them up by a touchdown, and they really didn't look back from that point. But that's what they're going to do. They hang their head on that defense. As Bill Belichick over there, he's going to find a way to win these games with that.
And then my other thing was, Ramondre Stevenson went out, so South Dakota State running back Pierre Strong had to step in. Mm-hmm. And I thought he looked really well.
Yeah, he
really
played
good.
well.
I don't know his stat line, but just what I saw last night, like he looked very explosive. He hit the edges, very hard, and I mean that one long run he had down the left sideline, it was a hell of a run. But I think the biggest thing that stood out to me was just how pissed Mac Jones was with Patricia majority of the game. Mm-hmm. I mean, slow getting the play calls in, and that's what you get. I mean, I know that's probably a good friend of Bill Belichick's, and he trusts him football wise a lot, but at the same time, majority of his tenure in New England, he's been a defensive guy.
Right.
So to be an offensive coordinator all of a sudden, that's one of the hardest jobs in football as an offensive coordinator. Everything you got, I mean, not just the play calling, but time management, everything else along those lines. It's how can you expect a guy like that who hangs his head on defense to be a good offensive coordinator and have a handle on the offense, especially with an up-and-coming guy like Mac Jones who's trying to make a name for himself. And for the most part, it's done a decent job, but I think this year has kind of raised some question marks around him. But at the same time, I think, if you get a better coach in there for him and can help, progress his development, I think he'll be just fine. I don't think Mac Jones is a quarterback who's done being a starter in the league by any means. It's just, kind of a rough go with where the Patriots are at. They don't have many playmakers, that some teams do. They really rely on the defense. I don't know. I mean, you look at the Vikings game they had, and that was one of Mac Jones' best games of his career. And I know that's saying something because, our defense is, hell of a defense, but this, I don't know. It was just overall though, it was not an exciting game. But I mean, even if Arizona had Kyler the whole game, I don't see it playing out any much differently because Kyler has he's had a tendency this year to just not rally his team and his guys around him and make a statement. He's just, it's always bitching and moaning to the sideline, the coach or whoever. It's just, pouting all the time, and that takes a toll on your team and the camaraderie. So I don't see it being any different if he stays in that whole game. I just, once the Patriots got rolling and could sense blood in the water, they took care of business.
I see the outcome being the same. Maybe the score is a little bit different, but I think this offense plays pretty decent behind Colt McCoy. They do have some weapons still, but ultimately, Bill Belichick was just going to find a way to shut those down.
And the Cardinals as a whole, they just feel like a team that knows their season is just done.
They kind of look like they lost a little bit of belief, and they never really were that cohesive as a unit on offense. So it was just a bad combination of all that last night when you lose your quarterback for probably a year.
Yeah, I think right when he goes down like that and you see him getting carted off, I think that takes a lot of wind out of the team's sails for sure. I just, and I'm sure a lot of those guys love Kyler Murray, but he just, to me, from a distance, he just doesn't have that quality you look for in a quarterback, to be a leader and to, have a firm grasp on the offense and having people following your lead. It's just like they feel like a team where they got every guy. Not saying they're all playing, for individual statistics or anything, but like it seems like so many people are pulling certain ways where they can't really, come together as one unit and play, complementary football, play, just be, the togetherness as a football team. It's just they don't I mean, J.J. Watt, he's a great leader, I think, but he's up there in age. I think this will be his last year in Arizona. I feel like D-Hop should have his last year in Arizona be this year.
Free D-Hop.
A.J. Green, I don't know if he's going to retire or what, but he's probably out of there.
Come to Baltimore.
They're just, this whole team I feel is going to be completely different next year.
It will be. My last thing on this Arizona point, I don't know if they have their pick. I should have looked it up, but I know they did get D-Hop. I assume they had to trade a first-round pick to Houston, so I'm going to assume they don't have it. But 4-9 right now, one of the bottom 6 records in the league. Your quarterback, we mentioned, signed that big deal this offseason.
Yeah.
I just want to go through the 5 biggest quarterback deals right now. At 5, we have Patrick Mahomes, $45 million, 10 for $450, very much worth it.
Yep.
Next, we have Watson, $46 million a year.
I don't know if he's worth it
right now, it's not looking great. Third, we have Kyler Murray with his injury at $46.1 million a year.
And he wasn't worth it before the injury.
He wasn't worth it before the injury. I mean, if you have to tell a guy to study tape, and if you have former teammates speaking badly about this guy as a quarterback, that's not what you want. It's not like this guy's Terrell Owens or something, so we can handle that if that's about the wide receiver. But quarterback, we want everybody on the same page. And when you have a split locker room like that, it's probably not going to be good for your season.
No.
At 2, we have Russell Wilson, $49 million.
Not worth it.
And then Aaron Rodgers, $50 million.
Which you could argue he's worth it, but at the same time, like I've said for the past few weeks, the situation with him in Green Bay is just too toxic where you can keep that relationship going past this season. I mean, he's got the talent and everything that's still there, obviously. One of the greatest passers in the history of the game, but at the same time, I think Rodgers either is going to retire or if he gets a better opportunity, say like San Francisco and Shanahan's offense, and to go back home, he'll take that. But I think this dude is super comfortable in retiring as well because Packers are still going to owe him money.
2 more years. I brought up that to say, Arizona's in a tough position with losing Kyler and probably not having that pick. You can't get a replacement, at least not a quality one. So
that's what I was going to bring up was who do you, for next year when he's out, like who do you go to?
That's going to be the question going forward.
Baker?
And you mentioned all the weapons that are going to be gone, and you mentioned Baker. That's funny because he could be the answer. He might be the answer for a lot of these teams going into the season.
Aren't they boys, Oklahoma and whatnot?
I don't trust those Oklahoma boys. I mean, Jalen Hurts went to Alabama first, so we instilled that in him. So he just took that somewhere else and thrived. But he wasn't an Oklahoma boy through and through. Bradford, Mayfield. I mean, Mayfield, I guess, was Texas Tech, but whatever. He's a bum.
He was there too, huh?
He's a bum. Anything else on this game before we get to Week 15?
No. But now that you mentioned Texas Tech, RP, Mike Leach.
Oh, correct. Yes, RP. Not sure when the news broke. I think it was today, correct?
This morning, that's what I woke up to, was seeing that he passed away. I mean, 61 years old is really young still in my eyes.
Very young.
So
very unexpected.
I mean, they said he had a heart condition or something like that. I don't know the extent of it, but I mean, he was a innovator as a head coach. I mean, that air raid offense that he, really deployed was, I mean, what he did.
Nobody could stop that in
Texas Tech, bro, in the mid to late 2000s was just nasty.
It was ridiculous. 600, 700 pass yards. It was just fucking crazy, bro.
It was fun to watch.
It really was.
And the thing I learned today when I was reading about, him passing, I read an article, and he didn't play football in college. He played rugby.
Okay.
And so wherever he went to school, he was studying their football team's head coach and his offense or whatever. And then once he graduated, I don't remember the school he like GA'd for or whatever, but that's when he started really progressing into his coaching career. But it's rare to see a guy who doesn't play football in college become such a big coach in college or NFL.
Right. Yeah. Definitely sad to see him go. 61, I think you said. Yeah, so very young. Definitely unexpected.
And he was going to do some really good things with Mississippi State, I think.
I think so, too. He was doing good things everywhere he went. So that offense was powerful, man. One of the best in the country year in and year out. So RIP to Mike Leach for sure, man. Moving on to Week 15 picks. Thursday Night Football. We have San Francisco at 9-4. On the road at Seattle, 7-6. It's been bleak lately for the Seahawks. If there's any time to turn it around, this is the time. If this is the opponent you want to face, maybe that's a different question for another day. But you have a chance. This is for your playoff life right here. It's also an NFC West battle. So you have a chance to overthrow San Francisco and take the 1 seed somewhere down the line if anything happens and you end up winning out. I don't think you're going to be able to pull this one out, though. You're going to fall to 500, 7-7. And San Francisco is going to go ahead and pull away with this conference or pull away with this division very comfortably and be 10-4 after this game.
I agree. The one thing Seattle's got going for them is they're playing at home in that loud stadium.
For sure.
But at the same time, San Francisco, they're road dogs, and they're not afraid to go anywhere and play football. So I see. I mean, and I'm really liking what I'm seeing out of Brock Purdy, honestly. I think he's showing that he can lead this team maybe even better than Jimmy G. I'm not going to go that far yet, but at the same time, he's showing that he has good leadership, and a lot of these guys are rallying around him and have a lot of trust in him. So that bodes well for this team going forward. I think they handle Seattle fairly easily.
And for him, I mean, there's not many defenses that you'd rather want to play than Seattle.
Right, exactly.
So maybe you get to boost your stats up a little bit and look even better finishing out this month of the last regular season. Saturday, we have 3 games. First, Indianapolis, 4-8-1 on the road at Minnesota, 10-3. Now, Indianapolis is a team that you inserted into our Gravediggers. I mean, I have 3 teams in there potentially that might make the playoffs. So I don't know if Indy can pull this game out. We might have both been making some mistakes, but I do have the Vikings in this game. Indiana is one of those teams that can, spoil some seasons for somebody, but I think you guys are going to bounce back from that loss you took and handle the Colts pretty handily.
If there's any time to have a convincing win, it's this week. I mean, I've said that maybe 1 or 2 other times already this season, but they haven't done so yet. But I think this is the time, because I think, yes, I have Minnesota winning in a bounce back. I'm not overly confident in it, but at the same time, I think what we saw on display in Detroit was a disgrace. It finally got O'Connell to realize some shit, and not just bypass it because we've been squeaking out a 1-point victory. And it was to a division opponent. So I think that really perked his ears up and, was like, okay, like something's going on here. So I think, this week is a big emphasis for him going into coaches' meetings and really having good open dialogue with the defensive staff, saying, hey, we need to really figure this out, make some changes, and see where we can, what can we do to put our guys in better position to be successful on defense. That's what it's going to come down to for this week. If we see some changes of any sort this week, that's a win in my book. I think that will, if that happens, this should be at least a two touchdown victory for the Vikings.
I agree.
So
Baltimore 9-4 on the road at Cleveland 5-8. I believe we're going to be starting our 3rd string quarterback. I believe I picked Baltimore in all but 1 game this year. Let's make that 2. I got Cleveland in this one.
Nah, man. For me, it's Baltimore. I think now watch Deshaun will have a great game, but I just think it's too early still for him to even be what he once was. He's got a lot of work to put in. I mean, he's still getting connected with his teammates in Cleveland, trying to gain chemistry with his receivers. I mean, they're a running team, but he's played 6 quarters now or whatever it's been, and 0 offensive touchdowns. That's a big red flag for me. Even for him to come back, just been 2 years, or whatever, and to come back. But I mean, you should at least have 1 offensive touchdown, by this point. So for me, it's a big letdown so far for Deshaun, and I just don't. Yes, it's going to be a battle, I think, obviously with Lamar out, but I trust Baltimore enough to be able to come up with enough passing, enough in the passing game, but they're going to rely heavily, I think, on J.K. and Gus to get this one. It's going to be a battle between both running games, I think.
It's going to be some old school football. It's not going to be fun to watch. Hopefully we can pull it out, but I don't feel too confident in this one.
I'll say I'll go 17-13 Baltimore.
What's the word on Tyler Huntley right now?
I haven't heard. If
he's in, we win. If he's out,
I would.
It's gonna be bad.
I'm not sure. I'll have to look after we're done here, but
we do this so early in the week. I mean,
right?
There's no telling.
Exactly. By Friday, injury reports are so different.
Yeah, I think last time we did it, Von Miller was announced out for the season Wednesday or Thursday. So
yeah,
nothing we could do about that. Next, in our last Saturday game, we have Miami at 8-5 on the road at Buffalo 10-3. Dolphins losers of 2 in a row. Make it 3. Buffalo's on the revenge tour right now. Josh Allen doesn't look great. The offense isn't clicking like it used to, but Miami's dealing with some real issues right now offensively as well. So I'm going to have to go Buffalo with this one.
I got Buffalo as well, and I think they're going to handle Miami pretty easily this week because, I mean, there's a possibility of 7 to 8 inches of snow. You got a South Beach team coming to Buffalo in that type of weather. Not going to be pretty. Tua's not going to like playing in that weather. Buffalo's going to take advantage of them and play some smash mouth football and just wear them down. And they'll win by 10 plus points.
As we know, Buffalo isn't the greatest running team, and they don't utilize their running backs in that way, at least the way we think they should. But Miami's really been struggling running the ball lately as well. So,
and you got the fact is,
I feel a lot more confident in Buffalo because of that reason.
Well, and the fact is, Buffalo may not be like a run first team or that great at having a run game, but they've shown over within these past 5-6 games, they've shown that they can run it when they want to and when they need to. So I think Miami's defense is still, very questionable. And even in the snow, I'm not going to say Buffalo will just lean on the run game all game because they're still going to look to pass the ball, obviously, no matter what the weather is. When you got Diggs and Gabe Davis and Josh Allen, I mean, that's what they're going to do. So it's going to be, to me, I just Miami ain't going to go into that type of environment and that type of weather and steal a win. They just, based off the past 2 games that they've played, they've really raised some questions on, how legit they are. And mainly Tua. So if Tua wants to show something, this is the week to do it, especially in this tough environment with this type of weather coming up. But if you don't answer the call, this is a 3rd week in a row where we got questions.
You better answer that shit because it's ringing off the hook right now. But you definitely have the chance to answer a lot of questions this week if you can beat a quality opponent, if you can bounce back from bad play, if you can play in bad weather. There's a lot of things that you can answer this week. You're on the road for your 3rd straight week. This is a tough stretch in your schedule. Ideally, you would not like to go 0-3.
No. You can't go 0-3, but at the same time, this is the biggest test because this is a 1 or 2 seed team that you're playing. So, this is a playoff game.
It is.
Playoff atmosphere.
It is. A game that might not have the playoff atmosphere that you're speaking of. We'll move to noon, and we have Atlanta at 5-8 on the road at New Orleans 4-9. Atlanta slightly has a chance to get into the playoffs. New Orleans not so much, losing twice to Tampa Bay already. In this game, though, I do have the Saints pulling this W out.
I got Saints as well. I just going from Mariota to Ritter. The Saints still have a solid defense. They're gonna give Atlanta a lot of fits. I don't think we're gonna see Cordero do any. He's not gonna have a huge game on this Saints defense. I don't think so. And you already know they have Pitts out. It's gonna be a rookie quarterback getting his feet wet, and I just don't have the confidence in him to pull off a win like this against a division rival at New Orleans, which is a tough place to play.
It is.
So I like, even though New Orleans is 4-9, I think they're a little better than the 4-9 record says.
I agree. To your Cordero Patterson point, he might not be effective in the offense because New Orleans has a very solid defense, but I think they're going to have to use him point return, kick return, especially with
he's going to have to be
their
focal point.
He is. He's going to have to be their gadget guy. So my question to you, as a gadget guy, who's going to be more productive, Taysom Hill or Cordero Patterson?
I'd have to go with Taysom. I like Cordero's overall ability better, but the way that the Saints can use Taysom and the fact that Atlanta's got a pretty shaky defense. I will take Taysom for sure because he's proven he can put up a lot of fucking, yards and points just through the air on the ground. I mean, he more so than Patterson, he is the definition of gadget player. Patterson, he can just do it all, but Taysom, he's not a good quarterback. He's not built like a tight end, but he can play tight end. He can play slot receiver. He can line up in the backfield. I mean, he's just that guy you can
Kick
move
off.
around everywhere.
Right.
You know, I mean, he's a do-it-all type of guy as well, but the ability is not what Cordero has.
Right.
So I would definitely even say Taysom, 10 times more if Peyton was still the coach, because I don't think Dennis Allen has that in him to do stuff with Taysom that Peyton did on the field. Like it's the way Peyton was able to use his offense and just move guys around, and like he toyed with defenses when he was coaching, like and a lot of it had to do with Drew Brees too being as good as he was. But I mean, no, in this game alone, between Cordero and Taysom, I'll take Taysom just because he's on the better team. He can, do a lot more damage. I mean, and then you got, it's going to be a battle between Olave and Drake London as well. So, but I'll take Olave in that scenario.
I will as well, especially with the first start for Desmond Ridder. It's going to be a little shaky on the offensive side for Atlanta. So, fair points all around. Fair points all around. Philadelphia at 12-1 on the road at Chicago 3-10. I think this game is going to be a little bit closer than we expect, but Philly will ultimately end up winning this one by 3 touchdowns, pull away late, but Chicago will give them a fight early. Justin Fields is nothing to be played with.
No.
He's serious. He's improved a lot. He's gotten better. He really has. The weapons around him, they're down, but I still think that this rushing attack is going to be effective enough to give Philly a little bit of fit in the first half.
Yeah, I really hope Chicago doesn't get blown out because I do believe it's going to be a close game too. I think, Chicago being 3-10, they have nothing to lose. They can go out there, play relaxed, and give them a hard fight and play hard. And they have nothing to lose. I mean, you're not going to the playoffs, but you're an up-and-coming team who's still building. So I think you have the mindset going into this that you want to go out there and put on a show, as best you can. And I think that'll give Philly some fits. But at the end of the day, I think Philly's just too good to not overcome what they throw at them. So I think Philly comes out on top and probably, 7 to 10 point game. More so on 10 point, I'd say.
Yeah, I'll lean more toward double digits, but Chicago's been fighting all year. I think they'll be in here just until the talent takes over for the Philadelphia side. And like I said, about 3 scores for me.
Yeah, and Philly is the way they've been playing, man. Jalen Hurts is
it's impressive.
They're getting on a roll, and they're staying relatively healthy. And they got so much depth everywhere too. It's crazy. If one guy goes down, the next guy is just as capable.
Yeah, they're definitely built for the championship. From top to bottom, they've done a great job this year.
Howie Roseman deserves an award for the shit he's done.
From top to bottom, they've done a great job so far. Next, we have Pittsburgh at 5-8, at Carolina 5-8. This is going to be a defensive battle. I think we're going to have Trubisky against Darnold. This is going to be a quarterback struggle. I'm going to go ahead and say Pittsburgh gets this game, even though Carolina is in contention for this NFC South. They obviously need this game very bad to stay in contention, even though at the moment Tampa Bay is 6-7, under 500 as well. But Pittsburgh, I just think they're too good all around defensively. They've been there before. They're more experienced. Carolina's going to give them a fight, though. This run offense is really good. Sam Darnold's not making mistakes right now. And the defense, like I say every week, is the reason that we like this team coming into the season. But ultimately, I'm going Tomlin over Wilkes. So I got Pittsburgh in this game.
For all the reasons you just said, I'm going Pittsburgh as well. I can't. All it comes down to is Pittsburgh's defense against Carolina's offense. And I'll take Pittsburgh's defense all day. So, if Trubisky gets to a point where he's turned the ball over 2 or 3 times, then it's looking probably like Carolina's winning the game.
For sure.
But if he does not turn the ball over, give me Pittsburgh.
I think that'll be one of the more entertaining games of the week.
It should be. I mean, 2 5-8 teams, like you're still battling. It's definitely one of the more intriguing games.
And 2 teams that aren't as bad as your record shows.
Yeah, and they're going to go out there and they're going to play hard.
Yeah, for sure.
One team's not going to just lay down and die.
Mm-hmm. There's some 5-8 teams that probably should be 5-8, but you're not one of them.
No.
Kansas City at 10-3 on the road at Houston, 111-1. Shall we wrap it up?
Quick.
All right. Dallas at 10-3 on the road at Jacksonville, 5-8. You asked me before the pod, do I think Jacksonville will be competitive in this game? I'll do you one better, and I'll go with the upset.
Jacksonville, huh?
Yes, sir.
What makes you say Jacksonville?
I like the way the offense is looking. I know Dallas has a great defense, but I think that the weapons they have are pretty decent. I like Ingram. I like Kirk, even though I don't think he's a number one. I do like Etienne. He is a playmaker. He's fast. He can get things done. The defense is playing better. I mean, Josh Allen has had an underwhelming career, if you ask me.
Yeah.
I thought he'd be a lot better. But as a unit, they're getting a little better. In Dallas, I just don't trust Dak. Mike McCarthy, this is the time of year where these two guys right here, this is just the time of the year where I start to lose faith in them. So
Yeah.
I got Jacksonville. They just caught off a big win against Tennessee. We can get to it later, but I think Tennessee might be in some trouble right now. Jacksonville's probably looking at the schedule like we really have a chance to win this division. Let's go out here and do it against Dallas.
Not to mention, Dougie P knows Dallas from his time in Philly.
I've seen you enough.
Like, he knows what to expect. So it's going to come down to how he prepares his team for this week. But as much as I'd like to see Dallas lose, I can't go against them.
Fair enough.
They're the superior team. But going on the road to Jacksonville does raise some question marks for me if they can pull out the W. Not saying Jacksonville is the toughest place to play, but you're still going to a humid weather state where you're an indoor team.
Mm-hmm.
So you're getting into uncomfortable environment a little bit. Not playing on turf, you're playing on grass. So, I mean, people take those things lightly, and they're not to be taken lightly, especially in the NFL, because those things can play a factor.
Yep.
So I do like your Jacksonville pick, but I got to go the other way and go Dallas.
Well, I think that will also be one of the better games of the week, as well as this one here. We have Detroit at 6-7 on a hot streak right now against the Jets. Not on a hot streak right now, falling to 7-6. I think Detroit's going to keep it going, man. I really do. The offense is high powered. The Jets defense is really phenomenal. So it's a battle of strength on strength. The Detroit defense is questionable, but they have been playing better. And the Jets offense, I don't know how Mike White's going to come into this game. I know he was banged up a little bit, and that's really my reasoning behind this one. If you have to put Joe Flacco or, God forbid, Zach Wilson out there, I just don't have faith in those guys right now. And Detroit's been playing well. They believe in themselves. They believe in this team. They believe they have a chance at that number 7 spot in the NFC. So I stumbled through that a little bit, but I got Detroit in this one.
I don't mind that pick at all. And I'd like to pick Detroit, but what it comes down to for me is Robert Saleh and his defense. I just think that the defensive backs that they got over there for the Jets, they can shut down St. Brown and Williams all day long.
It's 3-on-3.
Like
It's going to be a great battle.
They'll shut them down. I mean,
but Sauce doesn't travel, so that factored into my decision as well.
He doesn't travel.
And Jameson's probably the slot, and who wants to guard that speedster out of the slot? So,
but at the end of the day, we'll also get, Jared Goff is very up and down.
For sure.
So I just think, and I what he did last week, credit to him, but you played a slouch defense.
Fair.
And
that's fair.
Vikings barely squeaked out a win against the Jets. And if it wasn't for Jefferson, we don't even come close to winning that game because their D-backs just were all over us. I like the Jets in this one. They're at home as well as Detroit's been playing. I just don't know. It'd be fun to see them squeak into the playoffs, but at the same time, I just don't know if they are, there just yet. They're, playing great as of late, but
Are the Jets there though?
I'm not saying they're worthy either, but what I'm saying is I trust this Jets team over this Lions team. I like Saleh more than I like Dan Campbell, even though I do like Dan Campbell a lot. But I agree with your point. If Mike White is not, healthy enough, then I'll, maybe lean more towards the Lions. But at the end of the day, I think Mike White is very tough and he's going to play this game. And I mean, he's been putting up over 300 yards every game he's played. So, and Detroit is not, they're right there with the Vikings ranking wise. So it's going to be one of those. If anything, this will be a high scoring shootout if it comes to it.
Yeah.
But if it's not high scoring, it's due to the fact that Sauce and DJ Reed and those D-backs are putting a show on against those Lions wide receivers.
You mentioned Dan Campbell, and I hate to bring up last week's game, but I saw a clip of him talking about Penei Sewell going in motion and catching that pass, which I don't know how we skipped over that yesterday. But he said during the communication with the coach, he couldn't hear the call. He just said, sure, do whatever. And when he saw Penei Sewell catch the pass, he was like, well, what the fuck was that? Yeah, that's fun, but as the head coach, you should probably have a little bit more control over what you're doing. So that scares me as far as the Lions go sometimes, because he has shown that he is inexperienced in multiple games this year, in multiple scenarios. So
it's funny too when I watch Dan Campbell on the sidelines or whatever, or I just hear him speak, like he just has a defensive bravado to him, like that persona about him. But at the end of the day, the dude was a tight end in the league. Like, he's an offensive guy. Like, but when I hear him talk or when I just see him, like I think defense.
Exactly.
But he's offense. So when you mention that, you're not having that. So you're not like really having much say in your offense.
You're not having much say at all.
Like that's worrisome.
Moving on to the afternoon games. We have Arizona and their backup quarterback at 4-9 on the road at Denver, and their backup quarterback at 3-10. This will probably, honestly, be the worst game of the football season. And I think, for the second time, I'm taking Denver. That defense is just too good. I do like what Colt McCoy has been doing for the Cardinals offense. You still have D-Hop and those guys, but Denver's really been able to shut everybody down except the Chiefs.
Yep.
I don't see why Arizona would be. Yeah, they did. I mean, they won't do that this week with no Russell Wilson, but I don't know, man.
Who is their backup?
Rippin.
Oh.
I don't know how to pronounce his name, but that's who it is.
I definitely like Colt McCoy better than him.
For a fact.
But at the end of the day, shoot, this is a tough one. I don't like either of these teams.
At all.
But what I saw from
these are my two least favorite teams.
What I saw from Arizona against the Patriots, who have a solid defense, I can't trust that offense going up against this good of a defense.
No way.
So I got to go Denver in this one as well, even though I hate this pick.
I can't believe it. I never thought we would have both been picking Denver on the same week.
But I also did say I would never pick the Cardinals again as long as Kyler's on the roster.
That's semantics, or whatever you want to call it. New England at 7-6 on the road at Vegas 5-8. Bill Belichick versus one of his disciples, Josh McDaniels. I don't know. I like to compare Bill to Nick Saban. Nick Saban, he has a big coaching tree in college football. Not a lot of those guys can beat him. Bill Belichick, I don't think a lot of these guys are going to be able to beat him either. This is going to fall right into that category. New England's going to improve to 8-6. Las Vegas, after a choke job last week, you're really going to be eliminated from playoff contention after you lose this game and fall to 6-8. Patriots all day for me.
Yeah, I would like to see Vegas win this one. I just don't have much confidence in it.
I am concerned with the Jack Jones injury for the Patriots because even though Vegas has been struggling, Adams and Carr have been looking decent lately. So
yeah,
only 71 yards last game for Adams, but
you mentioned like
you're down your best DB now.
Everyone was making a big deal about the Vikings Patriots game because Bill Belichick drafted O'Connell or whatever, and it's like, but it's a big difference when you're a player for him compared to when you're coaching with him.
Right.
Like Bill Belichick knows all of Josh McDaniels,
right,
and how he coaches. I'm going with Bill Belichick in this one.
Yep. I didn't put much thought into this one. I mean, the master's always going to beat the pupil, man.
Yeah, it's going to be tougher. I mean, and this is a game where you might see Josh McDaniels try to get a little too cute in certain situations.
A Mike McCarthy in Green Bay type game. Yeah, we've seen it a couple times this year. Tennessee at 7-6 on the road at the Chargers 7-6. I mentioned it earlier. Jacksonville with the upset over Dallas, going to take over this AFC South. That means Tennessee would have to lose. Los Angeles Chargers. I got them going 7-7.
You got the Chargers losing?
I got Chargers winning.
You said 7-7.
8-6. Excuse me.
I was like, no way, because I don't even think this would be a close one. I think this would be the Chargers' best game of the year. I really do. I think the way they played last week and everything, like they're just. I think getting the receivers healthy into a point where they can make a push for the playoffs here. I mean, they're in a 3-way tie for that 7th spot now. Mm-hmm. This is a must-win game. They're at home. Not saying that has anything to do with it because that home crowd is atrocious.
It's like me and you there. That's the only fans they have. It's terrible.
But I think that the Chargers are a much better team all around. Tennessee, they only have Derrick Henry, really. I don't know if Burks is playing. I don't trust Tannehill in a game like this.
Right.
I can't go against the Chargers in this one.
The only reason I have paused is because Vrabel and Staley. I mean, Vrabel's a really good coach. Staley has had his issues this year.
I agree.
So he's gonna do his chances. I mean, he's gonna do his damnedest. He's gonna have about 4 or 5 times this game where he's gonna give Tennessee a real shot.
Yep.
But I think ultimately Herbert's just too talented, man. Even though Tennessee's defense is pretty solid, Herbert's gonna get the job done. He's getting his weapons back. Everybody's looking a little bit healthier. Right. Coming into playoff time, and it's a perfect time to start looking good. So
yep.
I got Chargers in this one. Next game, similar to the Kansas City-Houston game, not a lot for me to say. We have Cincinnati at 9-4 on the road at Tampa Bay, 6-7. This might be the worst season of Tyler's career. He's going to 6-8 for me. Cincinnati improves to 10 wins on the season.
Yeah, I got Cincinnati in this one. Not even a contest.
I got about 14 points in this one. It's not. I mean, that's on the light side, honestly.
Yeah, I agree.
Sunday Night Football, we have the New York Giants, 7-5-1, on the road at Washington, 7-5-1, a rematch of 2 weeks ago. Obviously, both these teams tied. I feel like Washington was the better team, and now they're at home. I think they'll really show that they are the better team, and they will improve 8-6-1, and really cause some trouble for this Giants team trying to get into the playoffs going forward.
Yeah, I don't know why.
Oh, no.
But something's telling me the Giants in this one.
Oh, no.
I think for me it has to do with these two teams tying last time they played 2 weeks ago. I'm pretty sure I have to go back and look, but I'm pretty sure Washington had to come back just to tie them.
They did.
Which
Saquon and the guys
gives
got
me
out
pause,
early.
and I think that the streak that Washington has been on of how well they've been playing the past what is it,
6 games or something like that.
6 out of 7 or whatever that they had, right, that they went on a run or something like. I just think that comes to an end this week. I don't like necessarily. I prefer Washington over the Giants, but I don't know, man. I think Daboll has got something up his sleeve this week. So for me, I got to go Giants. Kind of got to be different. It's not the best pick for me because I don't like the Giants and I don't like Daniel Jones, but
he's looked bad lately.
I think, though, Saquon will have a bigger game this week, and that will be the deciding factor. Plus, this Giants team, they can play defense, so
I think Saquon's a little banged up. Right now, I'm feeling like Daniel Jones and Daboll the same way I'm feeling about Tua and McDaniel out there.
Yeah.
I think they might have used up all their juice early in the season.
And that can happen.
It can happen, yeah. So I don't know. I mean, maybe they've got all they can out of these quarterbacks here, and
but
now they're really stalling out.
You're going to see a hell of a fight, I think, from this game. It's a do-or-die game pretty much. I mean, damn near every team in the NFC East can make the playoffs. But I think this is going to be a deciding factor on one of those teams missing the playoffs. So,
yeah.
And just because I'd rather see Giants over Washington in the playoffs, I'm going to go with the Giants.
I understand that. Our last game, Monday Night Football. One team that has a chance to get into the playoffs is the Green Bay Packers. They are 5-8, and they are hosting the Los Angeles Rams and Baker Mayfield at 4-9. Anything can happen. We have a number 1 pick who wanted to be Brett Favre against the guy who replaced Brett Favre, and I'm going to have to go with the top 10 quarterback all time and say the Packers go ahead and improve to 6-8 on the season.
Yeah, I'd love to see a Rams upset here, but I highly doubt it. It's at Lambeau, cold weather. The Rams just aren't the Rams. It's a bad year for them, and I think Baker comes back down to earth this week. So give me the Packers in this one, even though I'm hoping for a Rams upset. And that's all she wrote for me.
Let's go to Gravediggers. As we sit here today, 13 teams have been eliminated. Today we will give you one each, but to recap, those teams are Houston, Chicago, Green Bay, Carolina, Washington, Jacksonville, Denver, Vegas, Detroit, the Rams, the Colts, the Cardinals, and the Steelers. My friend, who are you eliminating from playoff contention this week?
Which one do I want to go with here?
I mean, I can go with the other one because I did one of their boys in, or one of their rivals in. If we're thinking the same thing here,
We might not be, but I'll go with them anyway. I'm eliminating the Deshaun Watson-led Cleveland Browns. He just doesn't have it this year.
Yeah,
They're riding with him. This is a big game, obviously, this week against Baltimore, but win or lose, I don't think they have enough the rest of the way to make the playoffs.
that's what I was talking about because I did eliminate Pittsburgh. Cleveland is one of those teams where that 5-8 record might not signify how talented the team was coming into the season. I had high expectations for the defense. I'd helped a couple people with fantasy. I said, yeah, Myles Garrett, potential DPOY. The back four is really good. The linebackers can fly around. Then it come to fruition. Having Jacoby Brissett in there, he did as well as he could, but ultimately they lost a couple of games that they probably should have won early in the season. The best example being that Jets game, being up 30-17 with, I don't know, a couple minutes left.
Yeah.
It's tough to blow that one, and that's just kind of what your season was like.
Yeah,
man.
exactly.
You lost a lot of these close games.
Mm-hmm.
Your record honestly could be flipped to 8-5 if you were executing better. Chubb, you have one of the best running backs in the league. Him along with Kareem Hunt, one of the best duos in the league. But ultimately, with Deshaun out, you're starting a backup quarterback for 13 games or 11 games this season. You're just going to get the job done. So, Browns, you are officially out of here.
And honestly, talking about this Baltimore-Cleveland game, I'd feel better about Cleveland's chances with Jacoby Brissett in there.
I would too. He did have a snap last week. He overthrew his guy out of bounds, but that was odd to me. He came in, but I don't know. Maybe they're seeing a little bit of something.
I don't know. I still think he deserves playing time based on what he did for them. It's it's a cold-hearted league, obviously. When you know the type of position you're in, you know what the circumstances are leading the team as a starter until Deshaun gets back. But at the same time, you know, if you're truly wanting to make the playoffs, I don't think you ride with Deshaun. I really don't. He's got to have a full off season under his belt, full training camp, and practices every week during a season to like really get up to speed with his guys.
It's not like T.Y. Hilton joining Dallas. He can come in there, spot plays here and there, and he get acclimated just fine. Deshaun Watson's in there taking 60 snaps a game.
Exactly.
It's just not the same thing. He has to use this offseason to his benefit and really get on the same page as these guys. My next team I'm eliminating, I think it's pretty easy. When the Saints come marching in.
Yeah, I was going to say, those were the two teams I had on my list, bro.
Yeah, they were the only two teams up for contention in my eyes. I think it was tough, man. Losing Jameis early. You expected Dalton to be the backup. So similar to Cleveland, you don't have your starting quarterback for a majority of the season now. When Jameis did get healthy, you stuck with Dalton, and you ended up losing a majority of those games as well. So you really had a chance to turn this around. As we mentioned this pod and pods before, this defense is really solid, man. It is year in and year out, especially in this division. The team you're going to have to beat, Tampa Bay, you play very well against them. Mm-hmm. This year you got swept against them. So that being the case, you're at the bottom of this division right now. And it's a shit division. Tampa Bay 6-7, winning it right now. For you to be 4-9 and out of contention right now, and it really to not be in question.
Yeah,
very embarrassing right now. Dennis Allen did a poor job this year executing in some situations similar to Cleveland, and that's why both of those teams are right here on the choo-choo train out of here.
yeah, and I think it's funny because I would have picked New Orleans if I didn't pick Cleveland. But looking at it, we both picked New Orleans to win this week against Atlanta. That brings both those teams to 5-9. Then you got Tampa Bay going up against Cincinnati. They will lose. They'll be 6-8. So really, they're not really eliminated. So
they're really not. They're really not. And we both picked Pittsburgh, but Carolina could easily be 6-8 as well.
Yeah.
And I don't know. If we look at this at week 18 and not 4 teams that I eliminated in the playoffs, that's got to be a fucking record for anybody who's ever done a game like this before. So
yeah, this is gonna be
we're making history, baby.
Yeah. Most definitely.
But that's gonna do it for me. 45 minutes off cam that was on cam.
Yep.
So we're here a little longer than usual, but I'm good with that. Saints in Cleveland. Sorry it had to be you, fellas. Come back stronger next year, though.
Yep. And,
I do think I think the Saints, they're in trouble. But Cleveland, I think, does have a more of a promising future. Saints are getting old on the defensive end, and that quarterback situation is iffy. Kamara, I think, might be suspended next year. He's dealing with that legal situation.
Is that still going on?
I think so.
Damn.
And not a lot of people are talking about it, but
And he's kind of had a down year,
he's
too.
kind of had a down year, yeah. I think a lot of that has to do with Dennis Allen and, I mean, Dalton
He's
as well,
definitely
being a
not the
backup
right
quarterback.
coach for
but
them.
yeah, not the right coach for that culture that they had going on over there with Sean Payton. So going forward, Cleveland's going to be okay. You have a top 8 quarterback in my estimation once he's right.
If he can get back to that level.
If he can get back to that level.
We don't know if he'll actually get back to that level. We hope so because he's, what he did before was just special. And you like to see that type of level of play in the NFL. So hopefully he can get back to that form at some point. But
will Deshaun Watson be the best Clemson quarterback at the end of next season?
I'd have to say so. I can't put Lawrence above him yet because he's not doing what we've seen Deshaun do.
Fair.
And so unless Trevor just completely lights it up next year, I don't know, because I do have a feeling Deshaun will come back strong next year and have a season, that's pretty damn good. So and all this, it always depends on also these offseason moves and everything. And we're gonna be, that's gonna be really fun this year, analyzing.
I think Lamar's done this year
for the season.
Yeah.
Injury because of the injury or what?
Yeah. Not because it's that bad, but because of the contract disputes he's having with the franchise right now.
Like, so he just won't want to play, you think, going forward?
Especially after what he saw last night with Kyler. That guy plays very similar to me.
Man, I don't know. I just don't know. I think, obviously, someone's going to go out and pay him what he wants.
Well, we'll franchise him next year.
Right. That's the thing. It's going to come down. Next year is make or break. Like, you have to have a overall great season next year. I mean, you're going to pretty much have to replicate or be better than your 2019 MVP season.
Which stat-wise isn't that crazy to do.
No, but it's really not. But it's just the level. I mean, that year he was capable of putting the team on his back and winning any single game.
He was.
So if he has that type of effect on the game like he did that year, then yes, you probably pay him. But if you're having a year like this year or last year, I mean, I don't know if I can pay you.
I think we have a 2-year window, and that window is so slightly open, it's almost smashing my fingertips. It's not great in Baltimore right now, man. It's really not.
And that's tough because, I mean, that organization's always been one of the, higher up organizations year in and year out, especially with the coach leading the way like Harbaugh. But you also got Ozzie Newsome, who's a great GM, does great things over there. I mean, that's what you want a franchise to look like, just consistency all the way around. But it's just that for some reason, hasn't added up the past, few years with adding, certain wide receivers that complement Lamar, or, the injuries all around and the banged up running backs constantly. It's been bad news bears, man. Like, bad luck all the way around. Like, that's what you got to chalk it up to, because the team is a very solid team when healthy.
It's so tough to say this in the same sentence, because we've easily been one of the top 5 franchises as far as getting players, developing players, putting them in the right position. But at the same time, we have not done that for him. Like,
no, exactly.
So bad.
It's so bad. That's what I'm. Who was it that Mike Goldberg or whoever's on that Get Up show on ESPN? Green,
yeah, something
Greeny or whatever.
Yeah, they call him Greeny. Yeah.
He said, like,
Green Lamb, my slow ass.
The Ravens organization has completely failed Lamar Jackson by what they've surrounded him with and what they haven't surrounded him with.
What station is this on?
ESPN.
Huh. I might need to tune back into ESPN then.
Like, when he said that, I completely agreed, because it was, what have you really done for Lamar besides just let him down? Because the pieces you're bringing in do not complement his play style at all.
This is like what they did for LeBron when he was on the Cavs the first time. We'll get you Shaq when he's 44. We get you Ben Wallace after he's out of his prime. We get you Antoine Jameson, Wally Zerbiak.
So part of me, thinks like some of the misfortune of Lamar is due to the fact, of the organization not doing enough for him by putting,
you just got this nigga 4 tight ends. That's all you did for him.
Yeah. I mean, what is likely and
Josh Oliver. I mean, Mark Andrews is top 5.
Yeah.
Let's not get that twisted. But at the end of the day, I don't
but
care
you can't
if he's
throw
the best
to a tight end every
time.
play.
Yeah, you can't do it all. You can't do it every time.
Like, and
I don't care if that's
Bateman's not what you thought he was going to be. He's a solid number 2.
Solid number 2. Middle of the pack number 2, probably.
But he's not a number 1 receiver. And that's clear as day.
I mean, Devin Duvernay is our number 1 right now.
But he's another solid number 2, number 3.
He's a solid number 2. Probably number 3, though, preferably.
And if you can keep those 2 guys, but you really have to go out there and add a bona fide, surefire number 1 receiver.
Yes, indeed.
Because if you can get that and then pair that with Andrews, likely, and then Bateman and Duvernay, if they stay healthy, like, that is a solid group. But I think more so,
I'm about the DMD hop right now.
It might have to be, Duvernay or Bateman who hits the road.
If we can get a quality number 1, one of those guys is going to have to bounce, and that's fine by me.
Yeah. So I think the
quality
Ravens,
number 1 with Mark Andrews is crucial.
This is a crucial offseason for the Baltimore Ravens.
It is, and I didn't mean to kill you guys like that, but that's the point of the season we're at right now.
But
I've seen 13 games. I don't think we're championship quality, so now I have to look ahead to the future, and these are the questions that I think of. So
yeah, and I think this is going to be even more so than last year a very fun offseason to cover, because once we hit March, bro, we're going to be getting all the rumors, all the stuff coming out, and shoot, we could damn near have a pod every other day on this shit.
Oh yeah. Especially if it goes like it was last summer. That was wild, man.
Yeah.
I'm good on this one if you are.
Yeah, I'm good to go. Until next week.
Yes, sir. Until next time. Hopefully, we come back Monday. We're in better moods. But until next time.
At least we have Sunday to recover if it doesn't go well.
That's true. That is true. We both play Saturday. We both will have Sunday to recover. I like that thinking. Because when I said that, I was mainly thinking of me. Because I'm not going to be in a good mood, in my estimation. But we'll see, man.
No, but I'm good, though. Thanks for tuning in.
Yes, indeed. Appreciate y'all. And we out of here. Peace.